Yeah.
Oh boy. It's never a good sign when you hear the dogs shuffling in the background. It just means they're about to have it at it with each other. So we'll see how long it lasts. Is
Well,
there a big delay? It seems like I'm delayed for some reason.
do you think?
I don't know. It looks like it to me. Usually I feel like I'm right on, and Caleb's always the one having the sync issues, but who knows? Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode, I think it's 108, 107. I labeled it correctly. I just can't remember which episode it is. So
Something like that. We had an amnesty at 100 anyway. That I just accept everything from now on. That's fine.
Yeah, no, but really what I do is now whenever I create a new episode, the first thing I do is scroll down to the bottom and change the episode number. And I always think of you when I do it. Yeah.
So, you know what I'm missing today? I'm missing the chat window, like the little icon at the top right.
Oh, I have it. Yeah, I have it. I mean, Shazam said I sound great. Well, I appreciate that, Shazam. That's very nice. Well, I'm going to actually go. To me right now, I'm going to, there's occasionally, it happens almost never, and even my clients know that I do the live stream, but a client just called me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go full screen. Do you see the comments yet, Ben?
No, I'm going to just open up the actual episode in YouTube so I can see what's going on.
Okay, why don't you do that? And then I'm going to have you introduce your drink, say hellos to people. This should only take me 30 seconds. I'm going to go full screen with you. And this is like one of those, you've got to do it, otherwise the client's not happy. And I'll be right there. And then I don't know what you're going to talk about, but,
Jesus, I don't believe you're about to do this. So you're just going to... You're seriously, he's not it. There's only the two of us, and you're just going to take a work call in the middle of this. Amazing. Go on, fuck off.
I'll be right back.
Us. This is incredible. Every week, we start at the beginning of the show. We always have about 15, 20 minutes where we get together. We just iron out any of the technical issues that inevitably crop up each week. And then we just chew the fat for a little bit. And always... if I'm 2 minutes late, Jem's already starting to whine. Where are you? Are you coming on soon? All this. So we actually get on there. We've gone live, and he's now disappeared off to take a phone call. Unbelievable. Anyway, all right. I'm going to bring the chat up and chat. Hope everyone is doing good this Wednesday. Wednesday? Oh, it's always Wednesday. Wednesday evening. What's everyone up to? What have you been on with this week? Let me know. I'm struggling to see this chat. Bear with me. So Shazam's in, Sam, Pat, Daniel Scott Films. How are you all? It's lovely to see you this evening. What are you all drinking? I'm in the UK still. I've been here for 3 weeks now, so I'm starting to get a little homesick. Although this is kind of home as well, really. So, but home in the Czech Republic. I haven't seen my kids for nearly a month, and I'm here for another week. So that's where I am. So the slightly unusual background, and I've been raiding my mum's whiskey cabinet, and this is Jura, which I've had the last couple of weeks, but this is very good. So I'm still struggling to get this chat in a window that I can read it. So just bear with me 1 second while I try and get this so I can read properly. Hey Alex, good to see you. Sorry. Hey Sky, how's it going? John, Shazam, IO Digital, Ben Show. I can't believe this has happened. I can't believe he has just left me. So Caleb this week sent his apologies. He's got a meeting that just couldn't be shifted, and Jem's just taken a call, and he's just left me to it. So there you go. So guys, what are you drinking? I don't know what else to talk about really at the beginning of the show today. We're struggling a bit with new product. There's nothing. We've been scouring new shooter. There's very little out. So anything you want to talk about, let me know. Daniel, you're in New Orleans. Very nice. I haven't been there for such a long time. I went there when I was a student. and drank for 3 or 4 days solid. And the worst hangover with all that humidity I've ever had in my life, but an amazing place. So, all right, 360. So as you've been provided us with Insta stories, why don't you tell us what project you're working on? Okay, so I've been working with Jago Miller, who is often in the chat. I don't know if he's here this evening, not yet. For the last couple of weeks, we've been working on 2 or 3 different projects here in the northwest of England. So the last 3 days, we've been working in a blast chamber, filming pipe repairs. So not the sexiest job that we've ever done, but nonetheless quite interesting. Big engineering stuff is always quite fascinating to me. So that's been quite good. It's been interesting. Before that, we've been filming a promo for a Lake District company that has these incredible 100-plus-year-old steamers, these boats, pleasure boats that run up and down Ullswater, which is one of the really beautiful lakes here in the Lake District. So that's been really nice. Dodging the weather, I don't know what it's like where you guys are. Here has been weird. Like May is normally the safest month for filming photography. Light's always good. All the greenery's out normally. So this is always the month I advise clients to book jobs in. And this year it's terrible. Everything's a month behind. Everything's cold. And a lot of rain. So being working in and out of the weather has been really quite tricky. We've also been shooting a promo for some luxury holiday accommodation, which has been really nice. We always make those a bit of a day in the life of. So we've been on this high ropes course, a place called Honestus Lake Mine, which is one of my favorite places in the lakes. Really good fun. Love the people that own that. And the Castle Recall campsite where we've been filming. It's really, really stunning. These incredibly luxurious octopods. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, these incredible little wooden holiday lodges. So that's what we've been up to for the last couple of weeks. And ongoing, we're also scouting for a feature film, which is really interesting. It's something that we do. It's not every week, but maybe 2 or 3 jobs a year. And features come up maybe once every couple of years. We do a lot of location scouting for commercials. So our specialist area is the Lake District, northwest of England. And this is really nice. So the way that works is we get sent a script from the producer or the director, and then we start to find. They mark up the pages, tell us the scenes that they're needing to find things for, and then we have to go use our contacts to find these locations. And then it's quite complicated because it's not just a case of working out what's going to look good in terms of on film, what's going to work, but it's also about the logistics of that. Where are we going to put the crew? Where are they going to sleep? How are we going to get them in and out of set each day? And time of year. This project we're working on right now is going to be shooting in July. It's a really nice Japanese-British feature. Really nice story. But July in the Lake District, that's peak tourism season. COVID year is a real change in the way that that's working, because people haven't been able to go abroad, and still people aren't sure about when they're going to be able to travel again. A lot of people are holidaying here in the UK. So things are really busy. Roads are really busy. And come July, that's going to be even worse. So having to really carefully find locations that are going to be manageable. We're going to end up location managing it as well. So it's that balance of getting the best location in terms of visual location, but also working out what's going to be manageable. Oh, hello. Are you back? I heard someone breathing.
Don't take the piss, okay? I right now I need a drink, okay? Let's just don't.
You need
I'm
a
fragile.
drink.
I'm fragile right now, okay? I'm having this, and I need it, and it's been a busy day, let's just say, and there's a lot of things that are coming up that we all have to deal with sometimes when it comes to clients. Great client, but fixing things that maybe we should have known about a while ago, which is okay. We will solve this problem, but Glenlivet in cognac casks, 14-year. Delicious. Cheers. Hi, everybody. You want to bring me up to speed, Ben, on what the chat's been?
Well, just everyone saying hello, and we've been talking about the work that I've been doing the last few weeks, and also about this film that Jago and I are doing locations for at the moment, just explaining how that whole process works, about the balance of finding the right location that fits the script, that looks great, but then also working out something that works in terms of logistics. How do we accommodate people? How do we get people there? What's the traffic going to be like? Where they're going to be like? So it's always a real challenge, these things, and then like figuring out times of day. So there's one location particularly which is a real tourist honeypot. It's always really busy, but it's quite integral to the story. So we've negotiated with the landowners, it's actually a national trust, and they're able to sort that out for us, and just working around times of day. If we do that 5 a.m, that's long days at the moment, and will be when they shoot, and we can mitigate a lot of those problems that we'll get with crowds. So yeah, it's taking up a lot of my headspace at the moment, that particular job, but really enjoy it.
That's good. Cool. It's not a client from hell, by the way, Sam. It's actually a great client. It's just one of those when you have a day and you realize that we need to do some pickups and some reshoots. But there you go. Shazam. Let's talk about the new iPad Pros and LumaFusion. Let's talk about Apple and whether or not they're going to make an iOS version of Final Cut Pro. Because LumaFusion is pretty deep now in terms of its feature set, and can integrate into Final Cut. But don't we think that it would make a lot of sense at this point with an M1 in there and everything else that we should see a version of that? I mean, like, we've got keyboards now with trackpads for tablets. And it's not exactly the same experience, but it's getting pretty close. I don't see why we couldn't get to the point where there was even a light version of Final Cut. I guess people would argue that's iMovie, but it's so crippled. I just feel like there's, it's probably about time that they start thinking about that. If they haven't, I don't know.
I would say it's inevitable, sure.
Would think so. I don't know. I would hope so.
Would you use it?
It's a good question. I mean, I'm really a laptop person. I have been for a long time, and that's not very big. The laptop, even the MacBook Pro, a 16-inch. Probably not at this point. Part of me wishes that there was Capture One for an iPad in iOS form. And then I would start thinking, well, if I could throw Final Cut Pro 10 on there, or Final Cut Pro, sorry, we can't call it 10 or X anymore. If I could throw that on there, it could be handy for certain things, when you just have to get the job done. And now they're finally putting a better webcam on those things as well. They're obviously not, large sensor, but the quality is going up in that department. I mean, I can't believe I have a brand new MacBook Pro 16-inch and it still has that shitty eyesight camera. It's like 720p garbage. I mean, how they put that in there? It would have been for them about a $15 difference probably for the camera to be better.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even my, also the completely new M1, they put the exact same piece.
I know it's ludicrous, and then you put a better one in the iPad Pro, which is a less expensive product. I spent over $3,500 on my laptop. I mean, it's ridiculous that I have a 720p camera in there. But what are you gonna do?
Right, agreed.
Nanlux announced a 1200 watt daylight COB light. 1200. That's a beast. It's on new shooters.
That is a beast.
Yeah. So 1200. So you need a 15 amp circuit for that. But that's pretty interesting. You know, that's going to be a lot of output on a 1200. I mean, I have a Nanlux 500, and you know, we've all seen the 600 from Aperture. A 1200 that's a lot of output out of a single source.
That is. I'm going to look that up. So is that still, what's the mounting on it? Is that still Bowens? Are they put on there?
I think so. I don't know, but you know, the optics have to change when you do that. Obviously, Aperture's had that issue too. It's called the Evoke 1200 LED Spotlight. There's Jeremy, who I've known for quite a long time. And you see they've got this Fresnel. It's called the FL35. It's a hell of a Fresnel lens. It's the first time I've seen a mesh, like a metal honeycomb thing, you know, in front of the Fresnel lens for an LED. So that sucker must get hot. Not that that's going to help. I mean, I wonder what that's. It's probably just structural. But they have a 4-up of that thing. If you scroll down, the light's going to be about $3,400, and then the accessories aren't super cheap. But you know, you talk about the 600D is about what, $1,900, $2,000 US, and so I guess the price makes sense because there isn't a lot of competition in there, and you're just getting a tremendous amount of output. So that's pretty interesting.
That is very interesting.
Yeah. So do I need one right now? No, but you know, if you're thinking about pushing light through a window or skip bouncing or doing like a bounce off a board into a space, then a 1200 watt, you know, LED should do pretty well in a lot of situations.
We could have used that. This week. We've been filming in I was just explaining. What? I can't hear you. I can't hear a word you're saying.
Now you can, because then I had to turn on the audio. The dog unplugged the internet. Right. I need to get in the barn. This is ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous. No, now you have audio, David. I'm back. Sorry. It's turning into one of those days.
The dog unplugged your internet.
Well, there's a plug, and it happens to be in a place where this giant puppy likes to run back and forth. I'm going to have to plug it in a different place now. This is ridiculous. Rookie mistake. Oh my! You look like you're like an 8-bit video game or something. You have so much compression. Maybe it'll settle. Move your head around a little bit, huh? It was better before. No, it's just now that we.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. The internet's a bit weird down here. We live in this place is the absolute middle of this valley. It's the last house on the line. Excuse me.
So we're the last house on our line too.
Yeah.
It's not pretty. All right, so 1200 watt.
Yeah.
What? Go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, so this place now, we may have talked about this before, I can never remember. But this place is about to get gigabit Ethernet.
Seriously?
Right,
I wish.
Optical, right into the house. It's amazing.
I wish.
It's this rural scheme here where people, the communities get together, they hook it into the huge optical lines that go up and down the M6 across the UK, which is the big motorway network. And people, you have to go dig the holes yourself. So the village gets together, They go dig all the infrastructure because the main.
Are you serious? They trench. Yeah. They basically trench all the way to the
Yeah. So my brother already has it. My sister already has it. So and when this scheme started, this has been running for years. They were paying £20, £30, which is like $40, $50 a month for a connection that you just couldn't even buy for any money in London. It's amazing. So yeah, so right now they're about a mile away from here, still digging trenches in across fields. So maybe by next time I'm here, we'll be on crazy fast internet.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Very cool. So this Nanlux light, 1200 watt. That means it's going to have. I mean, I guess we'll figure it out numbers wise, but compared to a 1200 watt HMI, it should be. LEDs are actually more efficient in terms of output. HMIs are sort of like a 3-to-1, and depending on how hard they push the LEDs, it could be like a 5 to 7. Yeah, I think it's probably going to be at least a 1200. I would think. I mean, I'd be happy if that light had similar output to a 1200. I mean, the Joker Bug 800 has a lot of punch for sure.
It really does.
I'd be happy if this came out like a 1.2K HMI and it's just over $3,000. That's actually a pretty dang good price. It's still not going to have the same exact quality of light as an HMI, but I don't know. Pretty interesting. Anything else we've heard about in the chat? Any new announcements or anything? I mean, besides the Airy Zoom and things that are completely unaffordable to mere mortals. New shooter, Cine D. Anybody saying anything?
I'm just going back up the chat.
Anything on No Film School?
Could we talk about the Cine i2S Pro?
I don't really know much about it. I mean, it's a wireless system, but it's like a no latency, but I don't really know anything about it. You?
Don't know very much. Quite good value by the looks of things.
Yep.
It's looking. Is that the whole system for £200? That's
Thanos Pro X, new version of gimbal support system announced. Thanos. They're going to call it Thanos. Interesting. All right. $2,500. It's pretty inexpensive.
It is.
And support cameras up to almost 40 pounds. Jeez. Somebody had a question before the whole thing went down about Steadicam vests and stuff.
Okay, I'm scrolling back up to find it.
See what else there is. Not much else. Nothing big.
No.
Which is all right by me, but,
When was it? Was it July when everything went mad last year? There was this kind of really strange...
Yeah. Really crazy.
Shifting of when things were getting launched.
Did you say 360 grad? Did you say that the Cine I has a small latency?
I mean, that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
So that is that you put the input into that, and then that transmits to mobile devices.
Yep. As far as I know,
nice.
People tell us. I mean, there's a lot of devices out there now.
That's really good value, though.
Yeah.
That would be super useful.
Okay.
No, but there's a big version. Okay.
People are supposed to leave me alone during this thing. Okay. It's one of the. It rarely happens. They know to leave me alone, and today is just. Okay.
Huh.
No, Ben. There's a big version. What does that mean?
A transmitter and receiver for about 600. Okay, cool.
Pat's looking for his first matte box. Thoughts on this $100 small rig? Never used it. Wooden Camera has a pretty inexpensive matte box. I would probably stick with them if you're going inexpensive. Or maybe look at Bright Tangerine, but look at something like, you know, the Misfit. But you've got to, yeah, but you have to figure out if you need multi-stage, and you know, if you need it to rotate. Like, what do you want to do with your matte box? What's the purpose of that matte box is really the question. If you can tell us that, then maybe we can get into that conversation.
Are you wanting to flag light off the lens? Are you wanting to put a filter, multiple filters in, or do you just want to look cool in front of clients? All three things are valid reasons for having one, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm not judging.
No.
You know, I've had them, not used them. Generally, don't anymore. But there's certain situations where I would like them, where they do make a lot of sense. But then the ones that do make a lot of sense in terms of ease of use and the way the filter staging works tends to be quite expensive, quite big, quite bulky. So I tend not to.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the big advantage for matte boxes, because there are very, very good quality, you know, circular filters, you know, that you can screw onto your lenses. And sometimes that's the better way to go. But for me, it's having the eyebrow, it's having the flags, it's being able to control essentially flare and being able to filter your image that is a big advantage. But remember that there's a lot more surface area on that filter generally. And so, you know, there's a lot more chances of that getting dirty and getting stuff on there. Impossible? No. I mean, you can definitely do it. People do it all the time. But you've got to have your eyes on those filters, I think, a little bit more. Yeah. And, you know, it's not like they're...
Yeah. Main reason.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, I mean, I would probably just... Unless it's a look thing, I don't know if I would get into a matte box. And remember that matte boxes aren't generally tight, you know, so there's definitely places for dust and things to get in there. So it's, you know, that means it can get on the filter. That means it can get on your actual, you know, lenses, elements, you know, or on the front of the glass. So I'm not discouraging it. I'm just saying make sure that you're in a controlled environment, because usually we're running and gunning solo now, and it's hard to then have another thing. It's pretty easy to reach over and clean a circular filter. But when you've got a matte box system on there, adds bulk, has to be, you know, you just have to keep your eye on it more, I think, personally.
Sure. Another alternative, and what I'm tending to do, is buying a big circular and then using step down, or that product that I own and I can't remember what it's called. You remember the one that had the variable, like it would do everything from a 67 to an 82. You put an 82 mil on the front of it, and you could. That's very easy to switch between lenses.
Yeah, what's that system?
A lot of it. I can go and get it. It's in the bag, and I can tell you. Hold on, give me 1 second.
Yeah. Tell us what the name of it is. Probably won't see Ben for another 10 minutes. He's just going to give it back to me now. How's everybody doing, by the way? Hopefully fine. Until here he's already back. Look at that. He's a rock.
Oh no, it's right outside the door. So this is the. If you can see this, so this system.
Oh, that's right.
Filter on the front, and it has. If I twist it, that is a thread. So it's got thread on it. So you just put that in, put it on the front of the lens, release it, and it will bind onto it, and then you just tighten it up very quickly. So that's a good way if you're wanting to shift to different size lenses, which is one of the advantages of using a matte box, of course.
What's the smallest you can go to? Ooh, very moody. Nice. Okay. What's the smallest thread side, just before you go?
They do different sizes. This goes from 67 to 82, and it's an 82 mil filter on the front, and you can put that still on an 82 lens. So I can put that on anything from, say, like the 35 mil Sigma Art, which is a 67, up to, say, the 1635 on the Canon L, which is an 82.
And it's not the it's not the filter. It's just the threads. It's just the adjustable threading. Correct?
Yeah. So the threads just shift in.
Yeah.
Like clip in. So it goes slightly smaller, and then as it expands out, it bites into the thread, and then you tighten it up manually like you would do a normal filter.
And it's H and Y or something?
Yeah, it's H and Y. I bought it on Kickstarter, but I think it's available widely now.
It's handy, right? Is what it's supposed to mean?
Oh yeah,
handy.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean,
hand, as in H and Y. Handy.
Handy. Yeah.
Handy filters. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to bookmark that again because that might be handy for something that I'm doing. Pun intended. I'll switch off for a second until your light's sorted. Is there a Steadicam system worth buying under 2K, or are they all junk at that price point? I mean, GlideCam makes some nice stuff in about that price point. And
this guy, you enjoying this?
I have it just on me right now. Do you want me to switch back?
I think maybe people should see what's going on here. I have no idea.
I think I should disclaimer this just in case you have problems with.
If anyone has epilepsy or something like that, don't.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my God!
I don't know why this is doing this.
All right, you'll
turn me off again.
All right, so. And then there is the Steadicam, which you can use with the like the Ronin S. That's interesting because you're using a gimbal along. Well, you're using a gimbal with a gimbal, basically. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. But Daniel, I don't have a definitive answer for you. I still have a smooth shooter from many moons ago, from GlideCam, which I thought was a pretty great system when it came out, and was incredibly affordable compared to the other things that were out there. But, you know, there's a lot of knockoffs. I probably would shy away from the small rig stuff and the things that are in that realm right now. Yeah, Tilta does make one. I don't know how good it is. You know, Tilta sort of has a hit or miss to me. Some of their stuff is amazing and works really well, and then the other stuff, not great. David says he's feeling nostalgic with all the issues today. I am too.
Yeah,
I was thinking the same thing. It kind of feels like an every week episode of Camera and Flask, as opposed to just, you know, what we have now, where things kind of just keep going. What's the McKinnon effect? 360. Lord Voldemort at Ben's house. Yeah, maybe. He who shall not be named. Okay, so what else do we want to talk about? So does anybody have any job-related stuff that they're dealing with? Are there any problems you're trying to solve when it comes to, you know, production that we can help you with today? Happy to answer any questions, and, you know, that's what we're here for. So give me some stuff, something, people. Give me something. That,
why don't you tell everyone where you're up to? Excuse me, about your barn, because we were just talking about that before we came on.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it before. Yeah, so we've got a lower level of my barn, and part of it's been used as an equipment room. Part of it I've shot in quite a bit over the last 3 years, but it's a completely uninsulated space. So it's fine for equipment storage. That's not a big deal. It doesn't get humid. It has a concrete floor, so it tends to hold temperature really well, so I'm not worried about that, though I do have some of those humidity-based cabinets to put lenses and cameras in, which is pretty handy. Yeah, I have some of those. Yeah, and, because it is Oregon, and there is a lot of moisture here, so I just thought, so I took about 1,100 square feet of that downstairs space, and the big project was, it's a pole barn, so it's really an agricultural barn, and there were 2 vertical support beams in that space that were, needing to be there because there is a second floor, which is really just storage. I mean, it's not much more than a particle board, floor that's sitting on top of, everything. So I wanted to have a big open space. So what I have is a laminated beam that is, it's literally, I'm going to say 2 feet, and top to bottom. It's about 10 inches wide, and it's 30 feet wide. So it's one beam that's a 30-footer. And the thing that's crazy is that's what's needed to replace, two 2x6s that we're doing the same job. That's what the engineering calculation in terms of weight load. You have to, if you want to have a 30-foot span of a beam like that, and they had to pour proper concrete footings inside the space, and there's huge beams that are holding up on either side that 30-foot beam. So, but the difference is that, of course, that I have a big open space now. So that's,
what do you,
yeah.
What have you got in terms of, your wall coverings for up there?
Yeah, so what I did is I took out 2 overhead doors, which are basically just gigantic garage doors that were in the space. And I replaced those with, on both sides, 2 4-foot by 4-foot windows. So there's plenty of light that can come into the space. And then concrete floor, just left that the way it is. And then in the walls, built it out and then basically insulated all of the walls in the space. And then on top of it is a product called Flame Spread, which you can get in white or black. So the ceilings are insulated and they have black flame spread, which you basically just, it's sheets of this stuff and you just staple it. And when you have like rip stop fabric, it has that little pattern, or when you have like a grid cloth, diffuser, it kind of looks like that, but it's fully opaque and it has a little bit of a shine to it. And so it's silver on one side and then either black or white on the other. And you staple it up against all the studs and then the insulation's on the other side. Well, the thing that's interesting is that when I decided to do that, I did it because it's a lot more cost effective. But then as the project was going along, I decided to sheetrock virtually all the walls anyway. I was going to sheetrock all of them. But as soon as they put the flame spread in over the insulation, the room is so dead that I told them to not put the sheetrock in. Because as soon as they put the sheetrock in, everything was just going to start bouncing all around. And so
it's an interesting brand name for a product, Flame Spread.
Yes.
That, okay. Something you put in your house. Flame Spread.
I thought you were going in a different direction, but now I'm following you. Okay, yeah, because you had that little cheeky smile, and I didn't know where that was going. 360 Grad was about to jump on that too, but it's all okay. Yes, so essentially in the ceiling, it's all black, and you can see staples. I mean, there's this tape that you can put over the stapled parts that's the same product if you want to hide them. But it's a very kind of industrial-looking space. Concrete floor, the white kind of over the insulation and the ceiling. But then the other big thing that I decided, I was about to be done and move in, and Jess and I decided we've got to put a bathroom in there. If we don't do it now, then we're not going to do it. And that was a shit show. I mean, I guess pun intended, but it was pipes that apparently were run from our house to the barn before we bought it, but we didn't know where the pipes were. It took me about 2 weeks to find all of the pipes underground because there was no map. Nobody had put anything under there to even track it. But we found everything. There were some hiccups and some things to fix and some very long days digging up, a broken pipe and all kinds of fun stuff. But as of right now, everything is done. We've backfilled basically every trench, and then in the ceiling, it's a 1 1/4 inch pipe grid, and I haven't built the whole thing yet, but I have part of the pipe grid in the ceilings, and that's and then there's lots of quad boxes up in the ceilings of the space, so that you can attach your lights there and then just run them, and all of those lights are on light switches. So I have 2 bays. And each one has its own switch. So at the end of the day, if I have lights up in the grid, I can just walk out and just flick those 2 light switches off and everything in the grid will go off. So that's pretty good. And then I did the same around the perimeter of the floor, where there's a lot of quads that are hot all the time, but then there's also quads that are on the switches in each of those 2 bays. So if I do have lights set up for a production, if they're in the grid or on the floor, I can still have them on the same switch. So that's kind of the idea. And with LEDs, I don't really worry about that anymore. You know, it used to be, you know, if that was an HMI, you wouldn't just go over to a light switch and just turn it off. That is not the way to do it. So there are some advantages now to, you know, to our newer modern lighting fixtures for sure. Free the mannequin. Cool. Oh my God. You think the mannequin's lonely?
In storage, or are they?
Maybe I'm lonely. They're in storage. It's ridiculous. Unbelievable.
Is this like a paid storage thing? You have to go and actually take them there, past people. Go in there just
by the hour. You pay by the hour for that storage.
Of course you do.
Ridiculous. Unbelievable. Yeah, so now I'm kind of at that stage with the space where we trimmed all the windows, which I didn't have the contractor do. So my friend and I did all of that. That took a couple of days. I've just finished off all the painting inside. The bathroom's in. So really it's now just sort of like the finishing stuff. And it's never going to be finished, but I have the desks in there now. I'm building the furniture out, and everything else. So I'm hoping by next Wednesday, maybe 2 Wednesdays from now, because I still have to run all of the Ethernet line and everything else. So it's just like every day, when I have time, early in the morning, later in the day, I'll make dinner, run out there, and I'll, come back in at 11 o'clock at night. But it's good. I have music out there now, so it's working.
Nice. It's working. Well, I'm hopefully get to see it in.
Oh, you will.
October would be nice. October would be nice.
That would be brilliant. I mean, if NAB happens and you come out and we're all at the show, we should now do what we were going to do a year. Well, at that point, it'll be a year and a half later, where you were going to fly out and then come stay with us and then all that kind of stuff. You will get a barn tour, a barn studio tour for sure. Small Brown Fox. I'm fortunately busy, so it's not like I'm going to do a multi-part series, but I do want to show the space, and really more than anything else, I just want to start using the space so I can do more live streams. I can do, more videos about content and products and all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
So, yeah. And you're going back in a couple of weeks or so, and then did you say you're coming back to the UK again in the summer?
Yeah. For sure in the summer, because that's going to be location managing this feature for the UK side of that shoot, or for the Lake District side of that shoot.
Yeah.
So that'll be 2 weeks. So for sure then I'm going to bring the kids over, because they've not seen my mum since before all this nonsense started, so 18 months, something like that.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Long time, way too long. So it's awful. But at the moment it's been... The big problem with coming over, as I'm sure I've moaned about in countless episodes right now, is it's extremely expensive in terms of the costs for car neighbour that's going to stay, but also things like the testing. I mean, that's 3 tests just to get here. I have 2 tests to get
expensive.
Back. Yeah, it's crazy. So it's, I don't know, for sure it's well over £500 return just in tests. Plus, then there's quarantine at both ends, which I don't mind so much going back to check, because then I've got a pile of editing to do, so I would be at home anyway. But when you come in here, you just want to crack on with work as soon as you get here, and you've got this 5-day. And this whole testing thing, if you're living somewhere rural, that's not easy just to go get tested, get the results back same day. You're doing home tests, you're sending stuff off, you're waiting maybe a day, maybe 2, if it's a weekend, maybe 4. So you've got to work all that into things. It's just a lot of hassle and stress. I'm now looking at when I'm going to get the boat back to Holland, which is the way I go back, get the ferry to Holland overnight, and then drive through Germany and back to the Czech Republic. So just trying to fit as much work in as I can now.
Yeah.
And if I could manage to do all the stuff that I needed to now, I'll stay a little bit longer to get it finished.
Yeah.
And then go back. And then I wouldn't have to come in June. But otherwise, you're looking at 2-3 weeks. Things are changing all the time. I think things will be a little bit more open as time goes on, travel wise, and then we maybe don't have to do all this stuff.
Can you go to a pub now?
Difficult. Yeah,
are pubs open?
So in both places, here and Czech. Czech started, I think, this Monday just gone. In the UK, they've been going for a few weeks outside, but from Monday this week, you can go indoors into
inside. Interesting.
Yeah.
Golden Boy has a meeting this week, Daniel, that he couldn't change. Rhapsodus, hey, how's it going? I have a question for you. Do you have a vacuum sealer by any chance?
Do I have a vacuum sealer?
Yeah, or access to one? I probably shouldn't put this on a live stream. I need Maris Piper starters because you can't get them here in the States. And so I need basically the seeds, they're starters for the potatoes, and they make basically the best chips. I mean, Yukon Golds are good, but Maris Pipers are the best, and so I need to get some Maris Pipers in the ground here, and we're building out a pretty big garden right now. So if you have an idea, you can't get Maris Piper here.
Really?
Nope.
Okay, that's weird. I think you're not allowed to bring that kind of stuff into the country, are you?
I don't know. I didn't say that. I just said, do you have a vacuum sealer, and can you get some starters for Maris Pipers? I don't know.
Okay. Well, we'll figure that out. I'm sure I can find somewhere to secrete them about my person to get them over to you. Like, if I come over...
Don't stick them up your bum or anything like that. I'm not talking about in October. I mean, we want to plant them for like
next time. He's going to put the seeds in, swallow them in a condom. That'll be fine. That's what we'll do.
Oh my God! Small Brown Fox says King Edwards are the best. Really? You think for chips? I think Maris Piper, but I don't think I've made. Okay, I've tried. Are they similar? Are they waxy or are they kind of fluffy and Yeah. I don't know.
I don't think I've ever thought about this that hard. I know when they're good. I know when they're bad. I don't really know. I've never looked at which potatoes were made. I've never asked in a restaurant. I know that's the kind of thing you would definitely do. But I would.
I did get a fryer. I got a couple of weeks ago. Small Brown Fox thinks that King Edwards are better. Well, so then, for God's sake. Probably Amazon. I would say I've ordered so many things from Amazon now because of the barn. I don't want to go anywhere at the moment because I'm just trying to get it done. So it's like every 20 minutes I'm like, shit, I need an extension cord. Okay, same day, boom. And it's just, if you look at my Amazon thing, it's ridiculous. But I only order Prime with free returns because, Small Brown Fox, water content is important. Agreed. You've got to be able to wash them well, too, and get all the starch off of them. But I did get a proper deep fryer. And about a week and a half ago, I'd made proper chips. I've never done it. And, you have to cook it at 2 different temperatures. You basically blanch them at a lower temperature, take them out. You could even throw them, chuck them in the fridge or leave them out for a while. And then when you're frying all the rest of your stuff like the fish, or I did coconut shrimp, then you do the chips at the higher temperature. And then that's why they get all nice and crispy on the outside and delicious. And I have, I have all the goods too here. I got brown sauce and my malt vinegar, and it was great. It tasted legit. Yukon Golds did the trick, but I will have to show you that dog. He's a monster. Hamish is a beast. He's amazing. All right, well, I had fun talking about chips. Now I need to find some haddock, and because do you prefer haddock and chips, or do you prefer cod when you go to a chippy?
It's generally cod, but then I don't know. It's a bit scarce these days, so it often is haddock.
And haddock's more expensive, though. Usually, I like the taste of haddock more when I go to a chip shop. But personally,
I'm not sure on price. I don't get to have it so often. I had it once since I came back, and I'll definitely go again. But it's this thing we're all famous for. It's what everyone thinks of as British food is fish and chips. But every town has 2 or 3 fish and chip shops. But there's within 100 miles of here, there's 3. That I buy fish and chips from.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's
Small Brown Fox likes hake. You like hake? And King Edwards. I don't. You're like a rebel, I think. And Daniel's having a Wonderland Nectarine Ale. Never had one of those. Come over. We'll drink pineapple cider and Wonderland Nectarine Ales. And then
you two get on like a house on fire.
There you go.
You can put a little umbrella in it. Little straw. Look lovely.
Get some lounge chairs.
Yeah. That's it. Your Hawaiian shirts on.
And great. You know that apparently I put on some shorts the other day, and they're like normal, like what I would consider regular shorts. And my kid said, Dad, those are totally out of style now. You got to have like 5-inch shorts. So the boys are now wearing like shorts that are essentially shorter than boxer briefs. I don't know about that.
Like 80 shorts.
Oh yeah, like full on, ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't think men in their
not attractive
can do that. That's not gonna go well. No.
Oh, I'm not saying I'm gonna get anything like that. I'm just saying that's what they said.
I've got a horrible, horrible picture in my head now that's gonna just disturb the rest of mine.
Yeah.
But we would just want to dive back to, so we mentioned NAB. Has there been any more information, rumors, murmurings about whether it's happening, whether it's not?
Bill says hot pants. I don't know. I mean, it's been pretty quiet, I think. You don't do that after a certain age or you'll drag things on the floor. Speak for yourself, 360 grad. I mean, I think that says
Indeed.
A lot. I don't know. Yeah, Ben, that kid in the picture behind you is taking drugs. He does. He kind of looks like he's snorting coke. He's not studying. He's snorting coke. That's amazing.
From this angle down here, that really does look exactly what he's doing. Brilliant.
Sam says 70s American Basketball Association shorts. Always wanted to go to NAB maybe next year. You might be smart. Well, there might not be this year, Daniel, so we'll see. I mean, it's all questionable. It's so funny now. I cannot not see that kid snorting like lines of coke right now. It's like Scarface, but as a child, maybe. Look at that. But
I will never
in the style of Antiques Roadshow, it's Scarface in the style of Antiques Roadshow period. What is that? That'd be probably like late 19th century, early 20th century. I'd probably give you 50 quid for that.
Right, I'll tell my mum.
Sam said he was about to say baby Scarface. He's got a good hair on him too, kind of like
it does. Yeah, when it's that slightly bit of focus fall off between here and there, it does just enough to make that
look like he's going in and having a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice.
Okay, that's amazing.
That's pretty good. Wow, we really digress there, and we're down to 13. Clearly, we're really holding people's attention here today. It's an odd week, I have to say, everybody. Misuse of Drug Act 1876. Yeah, it's probably like a propaganda, PR campaign that they used this kid in, and somehow that painting showed up in this room behind you.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. Welcome to the last few minutes of the show. Yeah, exactly, Chris. Well, I think we've... hopefully we'll have Caleb back next week. I don't know how long he's around until baby number 3 shows up. It's not that long. But let's talk next week, and if he's here for at least one more week, why don't we talk about a challenge next week and try to do one 2 weeks from now? Would that be possible? Just along the lines of what we've done so far.
I think so. I think that would be good.
Yeah, here we go. Sorry for asking again. This is 360 Grab.
Yeah.
But I have a question. Is an Aperture 600 bright enough to replicate daylight on 3 windows next to each other, or do I need 2 or more lights? Well, there's a couple of things to answer there. the spread isn't tremendous. So you can get an adjustable Fresnel, essentially spotlight, not spotlight, but Fresnel that will have a change in the beam angle, which would help. But 3 windows is a big ask unless you're bouncing.
Say 1 per window.
Yeah, 1 per window. The other thing is that, it has to do with 2 other very important things. What are the weather conditions outside? And then number 2, what is the size of the room? Because because those 2 things have a huge impact. And then of course, what style of lighting are you trying to achieve? Because if you're just going for hard light, then I would say 1 per window, or if they're close together, you might be able to get away with a couple of them, especially on a cloudy day. But if you got full sunlight and you're fighting that, and that's also coming in, I'm doubting that's why you're doing it, because then you'd have lots of light coming in anyway, and you would just basically throw diffusion over the windows, unless you need to see outside of them. Then you'd have to ND them. It's a hard question. I mean, it really has so many variables, but I would say that most people who are bringing light into a room are trying to replicate, usually more of a northern, facing window kind of light, which is indirect. And so you're looking for soft. So I would tend to bounce off of beadboard and bring that back in. Bounce off of ceilings coming into the space, or skip bounce, which would be basically coming in through the window, bouncing off of the floor, and then it skip bounces the light. But it all depends on where in that room and how large the room is in terms of where you want that light to reach, where you want it to go. So sunny daylight, room is about 10 by 5 meters. So it's not a small room, 30 by 15 about. And yeah, I'd definitely say you probably need 3 fixtures. And I would say 3 fixtures is probably, for that size room, that's what I would probably do. But you may not want. Now the only thing I'll say about that 360 grad is, when you're lighting a space, you generally don't want the whole space to be lit up the same way everywhere, unless that's all you're trying to do. It's just like high key, everything is just light everywhere. So you might not need 3 fixtures if you want to create pools of light or depth of light, where you've got areas of focus in the foreground or middle ground, and then you want fall off going, towards the back of the room in terms of your frame. So there's just a lot of things to think about. Maybe that's something we could do, is we could, if you have a script or you have some information about the scene and you can take a picture of the space, we can talk about on one of the shows, like different ways that you could light that space, different ways you could approach it. I'd love to do something like that. That'd be great.
I also want to have a go with the light stream kit for doing something like that. A mate of mine, Dave Qualley, who is sometimes comes and views, not normally in the live, but he's often on the next day. He's been doing loads with that recently, and it just looks phenomenal. Looking at the setups that he's been posting on Instagram. Yeah,
and these are basically they're mirrors that you basically bounce light off of, and they have different diffusion levels. So they can be very mirror-like, or they could be almost completely white. So when you're bouncing the light off of them, it really spreads and has a very, very nice quality. So,
but very cool strange. It's very hard to kind of get your head around what they're doing, and in terms of where they're spreading, and the way that you would traditionally think about light and the size of your light sources. Is all kind of skewed completely with this, and I'm still not quite there with understanding exactly how it works. I need to get really have a play with it.
It really is hard. I think that the thing that started to help me was taking the light and putting it on a light stand and pointing up your source into the mirror, and then starting to move the mirror around and doing it like that. Because whenever I was trying to do it sort of like bouncing it off of the mirror, like more on a straight angle, it just sort of messed me up. And I really like mounting a light fixture down at the bottom of like a C-stand and bouncing it up into there. And it's pretty great because, you can bounce into one mirror and then that mirror can be going towards another mirror with either the same or a different quality of light, and you can do a lot of really interesting things.
Like tiny spaces with one of those.
Yes. Yeah,
really
it's pretty cool. All right, so 4:01 here on the West Coast. We'll be back next week. I think 360 Grad or anybody, if you want to share any pictures, just send them to me, and we can bring them up next week. Just send them to whatever you want at thec47.com, but it would probably be best to just send it to camera and flask at thec47.com. I just made that up, but it will get to me as long as it's not spammed. It was great having everybody here this week. Let's talk about some setups next week and also a new challenge that we can get everybody involved in. And maybe 360 Grad, this space will be, if you have access to it, the place you'll use for your image. I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right, kids. Ben's going to go to sleep, and then he's going to go scout and do other stuff. And everybody else, I hope you're doing well. I'm going to go build a bookcase and also put out some fires with my client. So that's going to be fun. I'm looking in the corner of my eye. There's been a lot of stuff that's happened in this last 50 minutes. So thanks, everybody. And we'll see you next week.
Niall.
See you, bye. Oh, live. Oh, look at that.